Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video.
I put baby trap in quotation marks because I'm not sure what she did is the actual definition of baby trap. She didn't have a kid to make me stay, just against my will. So my wife, 32 female, and I, 34 male, have been together for 8 years. We have a little girl, 5 female, and a baby boy, 2 male. I love both of them more than anything, and I finally feel like I have everything. A beautiful wife, 2 healthy kids, a great career, and a big house. The token American dream minus the dog I'm allergic to. When we talked about kids before, my wife always said she wanted 2. I only wanted 1. It would be easier and we'd have more money for vacations and stuff. But my wife maintained it's important for a child to have a sibling. I grew up with 4 and my wife with none, so I guess I understand where she's coming from. After our son and getting through the baby years and sleepless nights for the second time, I didn't want to ever go through that again. Both kids were very fussy and colicky. But when he was a year old, my wife began casually mentioning a third. I would laugh it off, but finally she sat me down and said, "We have to have a third." I said no, we agreed on 2, but she said she wanted 4 and 3 is the compromise. I refused and said I wanted 1 and we have 2. She got angry and called me selfish for taking away her dream of wanting a big family. A couple days later, she apologized and we had intercourse. I noticed her drive increased exponentially, but so did mine, and I was happy to engage her. She was on birth control, I had protection, it was all good. Thinking back on it, I probably should have figured something was up, but I was barely handling 2 kids and working on top of housework and yard work and everything. I came home one day while the kids were at their grandparents'. My wife had a huge smile on her face and she sat me down and showed me a positive pregnancy test, literally dancing in joy. My first thought was, oh crap. My wife noticed a less than happy expression on my face and started screaming at me. She berated me for not being supportive, and this was a miracle from God and I should be grateful. I said I was sorry and hugged her and said I was super excited for the baby. My wife was delighted, and later that night she was calling all family and friends to happily tell them the news. When she was talking about the nursery and how we'll convert my office into a room, I started to get a little suspicious. Everything was so well thought out, and it seemed like she'd been planning this for a while. When she was asleep, I took the protection out of the cupboard and ran them under water holes. I nabbed her phone and saw she'd set a password. That was odd. Nevertheless, my wife has a terrible memory, so I tried her birthday and it opened. Further up were texts with her best friend of my wife complaining how I won't come around. Her best friend suggested arrange an accident with a winky face. My wife agreed and said she was going to come off the birth control. It went on for a while, ending with my wife saying that yes, we were going to have a third. So I woke her up immediately and asked her if this had really been a miracle. She got that deer in headlights look and burst into tears. She wailed and then she got angry. Through tears, she screamed I had no right to go through her phone and it's her choice whether or not she wants to take, because the side effects are bad and she was sick. She also brought up that if I didn't really want a third kid, I should have had a vasectomy. She told me to go to sleep on the couch. I laughed out loud and said, "No, I'm sleeping here, you're leaving." So while wailing, she packed a bag and left it to her parents. When she called the next day, I told her I just needed some time to myself. She said that was fine, but I need to come around. I told her I wasn't sure if it'd be our child and she cried more. It's been 2 weeks since. Governments recommended staying at home, and I knew staying home by myself while also working with 2 kids would not be ideal, and she wanted to see our kids. So we're in the same house. She constantly keeps on stopping me and trying to get me excited for our kid and planning the nursery and names and how happy our kids will be to have a younger sibling. I've been ignoring her entirely. What should I do? Staying home with her is bad enough, and I don't know if I should leave her over this. I don't trust her anymore. She entirely betrayed it. I'm angry, but I have another child on the way. This is a huge betrayal by your wife and honestly could have been a deal breaker leading to divorce. Having a child is a big emotional, physical, and financial decision that should involve 2 partners. She's selfish, entitled, and manipulative. I would consider the following. Get a lawyer, discuss your options. Get screenshot evidence of the texts between her and her friend. Record her to admitting to tampering and lying with her birth control and your protection. Get a couples counselor. You can get virtual sessions during the pandemic. This is important to either save your relationship or to help mediate a divorce. Get a paternity test. Be honest with people why you two are separate. She's going to lie and be manipulative about what happened. Document interactions and record any fights with her. She can't be trusted. Avoid her claiming abuse or other things by having proof. What's most worrisome and makes me worried your marriage is over. She lied. She blamed it on you for not getting a vasectomy. She's not sorry. She doesn't respect your view, needs, or opinion. If she can't see how wrong she is and how much she broke your trust, hurt you, this marriage won't recover. I'd divorce her, and yes, she definitely baby trapped you. This is actually a form of rape in several areas of the world. She withheld important contraceptive information from you, going off birth control, and actively tampered with the ones you were using, holes in the protection. Is there any way you can get on her phone again? I'd suggest screenshotting her admitting she tampered with your protection and went off her birth control purposely without mentioning it to you and sending it to your own phone. Hell, I'd even record a conversation between you and her and get her to openly talk about what she did. This is awful. Not only was she being selfish, but what kind of messed up mother thinks it's a good idea to bring a child into the world against the wishes of her partner? That hurts the child beyond measure because the father will never bond with that child the way he bonded with the other. She has seriously hurt that baby. It's selfish, short-sighted, and incredibly. I don't even have the right words. As a mother myself, my heart is just hurting for that child. I personally wouldn't be with someone like that. But a situation like this is above Reddit's pay grade. It's a delicate ethical thing that only you should decide going forward. No one would blame you if you left her, but you'd need to decide how to proceed with the baby. I would really encourage you to talk to a counselor. BetterHelp.com and Talkspace.com are both online options for the time being. If you want to ask her to leave, you're well within your right to do so. You could give her a bunch of resources to find an apartment or call one of her family members to ask if she could stay. Maybe give her some counseling resources as well because you have to be seriously ill to think this is okay. I wish you the best. This is a hard situation and I'm so sorry it happened to you, especially in the middle of a pandemic. I don't think she planned to tell me, and I guess she was thinking if I did find out, I'd love the kid too much to think any different. I just don't know what to do, and I hate being stuck in a house with her. The kids have started to ask why I won't talk to mommy, and I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm so mad at her, but I can't leave 2 toddlers for her to wrangle. Next story. My female 35 partner, male 36, is frequently too sick to get up and help me with the kids every morning, and it's driving me nuts. Almost every morning, my partner complains about how terrible he feels. He'll usually moan about it for a bit while I sympathetically nod and ask him if he wants coffee. Meanwhile, there's a good chance I've been up multiple times in the night with the baby. I'm breastfeeding while he sleeps uninterrupted. I'm always the first one up with the kids while he lies in as long as possible, usually not getting up until at least an hour or 2 later. He never asks me how I am and usually launches into a one-way dialogue of how he's broken, etc. He does this in front of the kids too, and I'm concerned about the effect that could have on him. Meanwhile, I do the bulk of the housework and work more hours at my job. He always feels better by the afternoon and then stays up late, often going to his friend's house for a few hours in the evening. It's ridiculous. This has been going on literally for years, and despite my ongoing suggestions to go to a doctor and eat healthier, he has only recently gone for a blood test, which was fine. This morning, I needed his help after being up with the kids for an hour and a half, and he immediately launched into the "I'm feeling terrible" routine. He had been over to his friend's house and was up late the night before. I wasn't feeling as tolerant as I usually do, so I sighed. But you're always sick. Now he's really mad at me for being unreasonable, uncaring, and is saying that I lashed out. I'm not sure what I did constitutes lashing out, but I am feeling really fed up. Maybe I'm being unreasonable, uncaring, and cold. Edit. Thank you so much for all the feedback. It's been really helpful to get different perspectives. In fairness to him, he does most of the cooking, shopping for groceries, and school collections. And no, he's not hungover. That said, these don't negate the issues I'm having. I'm putting the foot down and insisting that he goes to the doctor to address whatever it is that is ailing him. I'm also not accepting deflection, accusations of being uncaring, etc. In addition, I'm going to keep working on implementing and enforcing stronger boundaries. It's an ongoing process for me and not something that I learned when I was younger. I think if these patterns don't significantly improve over the next couple of months, I will be taking steps to get out. He's not a partner, he's a full-time job. He's a lazy freeloader. Stop doing anything for him. Time to start saying no to any requests he makes. No, I can't make you coffee. Gotta change the baby's nappy. No, can't help you. Gotta do this. No, can't make you dinner. Gotta feed the kids. No, 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 no. Let him languish in bed. He will eventually get up and start doing things for himself. Don't do his washing. Don't make him meals. Don't do anything for him that he's perfectly capable of doing himself. Women, you are not a rehabilitation center for badly raised men. It's not your job to fix him, change him, parent him, or raise him. You need a life partner, not a project. Julia Roberts. It's time for the 2-card deal. He gets his backside to the doctor and gets treatment, or he moves out. Bad is something you can do all by yourself. You don't need to use this man hanging off your hem, making life even more difficult for you. Completely agree. This man has been coddled to the point of uselessness. If his health is such a problem that it stops him from being a good partner and father, then it's his responsibility to sort that out, rather than expecting you to pick up the slack forever and also being nice about it. Because what if you make him feel bad for being useless? Don't do things for this man until he either changes his behavior on his own, which I suspect he's perfectly capable of doing, or seeks proper, consistent medical help. You don't have to be nice and understanding to someone who's constantly taking advantage of your kindness for years. How can you possibly think you're being unreasonable here? Either he or other people in your life have screwed with your perception of reality and self-worth. Was your dad like this? Don't you know men who are good dads and equal partners to their spouses? If you know even one, you must realize that he's a crappy partner and a crappy dad for treating the mother of his kids like this, and that you've enabled it. It's harsh, I know, but come on. Of course, none of this is okay. If he's not too sick for friends, he's not too sick for responsibilities at home. If he won't contribute equally, take proactive steps to fix his chronic illness and actively take responsibility for your shared life. You need to think about what kind of a relationship you're modeling for your kids and act accordingly. No more sympathy or tolerance for this. He either gets it together, gets up with the kids, or at least as much as you do, does at least half the housework, and gets his health under control, or your marriage is at its end. If he's well enough to go to his friend's place, he's well enough to take care of his kids. Unfortunately, he's been playing it up to get you to do all the crappy and hard parts of having kids. The way I see it, the very, very best case scenario is that he's really not a morning person and is a night person, and is probably hungover all those times he complains about feeling like crap, in which case you two can work out a schedule whereby you do kid stuff in the morning. But he doesn't go out every night, but instead does kid stuff at night, at which time you finally get to relax and go out to see your friends. If you work this out, I think the relationship can be salvaged. But the worst case scenario, and unfortunately this is very likely, is that he's just a lazy a-hole who has no interest in actually being a father to his kids and thinks it's just fine for you to do everything. You two need to have a big conversation to see which it is. And incidentally, I really don't like his unreasonable, uncaring accusation. It really suggests he doesn't give a crap about you and your feelings. If he's just playing it up to get you to sympathetically do all the work, you honestly need to tell him he better either shape up and pick up the slack or you're leaving. As it is, this man is not a partner. Next story. So I, 24 male, am shopping for a ring to propose to my girlfriend, 25, of 2.5 years. I've been doing so much research and trying my hardest to find a ring that fits her style best. So the first thing I did was ask her mom and closest friend for advice. I was sent various Pinterest boards with rings she liked and have seen most of her jewelry. We live together, so I've literally seen all of it. I've bought her rings and necklaces in the past and she always liked them. So I went to Jared's and found a really nice ring. Oval stone, 7 to 8 carat, very high color and clarity ratings, with a simple crossover band with stones along the band, and very simple prongs. It was the ring that stuck with me all through shopping. So I took pictures of it and some others that were okay and sent them off for opinions. They're both telling me that she mentioned and saved something very simple and dainty, like just band and stone. So not what I picked out. I trust them because they definitely know better than I do. But I can't help but feel like I'd be upset with myself for not following my gut. After all, it needs to be the ring that I choose, right? I want to go against what her mom and friend advised, people who know better than I do, admittedly. They don't dislike the ring, they just say it's very pretty and it doesn't match her other jewelry, but are making it clear that they don't think it's the engagement ring she'd want. What she supposedly wants just seems soulless, totally without character. I want the ring to be a reflection of my love, not theirs. I mean no disrespect for her loved ones, but I really believe it's the one. For clarification, I have not bought anything yet. I also understand it's not really about the ring and that she'll likely love whatever I get her. I still want to get it right. I also don't want two of the most important people in her life to be upset. I didn't listen to them. So, would it be a mistake to listen to my gut here? My sister offered a good solution, I think. To find a ring in line with their ideas and ensure the return policy could cover it, but explain to her why I picked this ring over others too. In case I'm dead wrong about the style, this should have me covered, I think. Jeweler here. Don't pick a ring with your gut ever. You won't be the one wearing it. If you want a surprise but want her to pick a ring, then just buy a cheap silver ring with cubic zirconias. Then while giving it to her, just tell her the truth that you have one that you really like, but others said you wanted something different, so I got a placeholder and you get to decide what you would like. Rather than talk to her mom and friend, why not talk to her? I get it, there's a lot of pressure on a dude to surprise a woman with the proposal and the ring, but it would definitely help if you got the answer from her. You don't have to lay out all the nitty-gritty details of your plans, but get the ring suggestions from your fiancé. After all, she knows her taste best. My husband and I were very open and honest about getting engaged. We set a budget, I picked my own ring, sent a link to him, and left when and how he was going to propose to him. This way, I knew I would get exactly what I wanted and he could still surprise me. As a woman, it's very awkward to have to explain to your fiancé that you want to exchange the ring that he worked so hard to pick out. So this way, you're sparing her the potential awkwardness. I love the idea of letting her pick her own, but knowing her, she wouldn't feel free to pick what she wants because she'd feel nervous about price, which isn't the issue. It's probably silly to be hung up on the surprise aspect of it, but I think it's important to both of us that it be a surprise. We've talked about marriage plenty and know that this is what we want, so I'm not worried about her saying no. Bro, here's top-notch advice. Listen to her peoples. If she's very close to them, they will know for sure what she's looking for. Most likely, she's talked about it since she was a kid and has dreamed and envisioned her hand with it doing the most simplest things. If you want to get a ring that you like, buy it for you and not her. While you think the type she's looking at is soulless, to her it will be memorable and a dream come true. Last thing you want is for her thinking it's nice, but not what I had in mind or thought of. I'll learn to love it in time. Even though the ring shouldn't matter, it matters, man. It matters a lot. There's a reason she may have mentioned her style, and there is definitely a reason her friends and family know what she wants. She's talked about it, therefore it matters.